Hi everyone, good morning. Lakshmi, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us. Credit is always an interesting topic. So, my first question is going to be assessing credit risk. Is it an art or a science? Especially in India, where there is such information asymmetry and so many other challenges. Do you view yourself as an artist or a scientist when you are managing credit risk?
It's a quite interesting question. It has to be mix of both.
Hold.
It is a mix of both. It cannot be art or science alone. Although we like to go with the scientific method of assessing the credit risk, but still we have to manage and mix both so that no, it is a right mix and then we get a right decision. At times, no, you have to go with gut feeling also, and if you go too much scientific data and other aspects, you may not be able to get right customer on board also. So it has to be mix of both, according to me.
Right. So, let's start with the basics. What are the factors that you think about uh, when you are assessing credit risk? What are some of the factors that you are evaluating as CFO? And I'm sure my colleague Ankita, who heads operations and product development for us at Rubix and Vienna, she also will understand that question because it's something that she struggles with all the time when you are assessing that risk.
The first thing we see always is the existence of the customer. How long they are existing in the business. That is number one. And of course, the commodity and the trade to which they belong. So the sector we call in our industry. So whether they belong to automotive or pharma or retail or engineering, manufacturing. So these all we decide. And second, third is their payment pattern. How do they pay to their suppliers, which is done through their financial parameters with ratios and then working capital and other aspects. The main parameter that we look is, to what sector they belong, how long they exist in the business, and what is the payment pattern to their existing customers. These are the few factors which you always see that.
So, Ellen, are there any no-go sectors for you? I mean, sectors that you will not touch at all.
It is not that we will not touch. It is very, tough to say that. But yes, in case of retail, in our industry, retail sector, we just take as a caution as far as perishable market where, we are very strong in perishables, but still perishable exports, but still we be very cautious with those two sectors.
Right. My wife actually is an exporter of perishables and she works, historically they worked with Hermes in terms of their exports of fruits to the Middle East.
Yeah. As I said, no, we are very strong in perishable. We are one of the Indian company, or we do a lot of perishable market. In fact, April to June, we had exported a lot of mangoes.
Exactly.
To UK and Canada. So that is our niche market. Apart from pharma, where we are very strong. But yes, you have to be very careful with the customers. We do with very long and existing customers with whom we do business for years. So we are a 52-year-old company. In India, and yes, very very strong in perishables and pharma segment.
So it's interesting that you talked about perishables and as a segment because a lot of the players in this segment are proprietorships and partnerships. They are not necessarily incorporated entities. Now, and that's true for most of India. A lot of the bulk of the business universe in India is proprietorship and partnership. Because data is so limited, financial data is so limited on these entities, they're not required to file with the MCA, etc. What are the alternative data sources that you look at in order to make the credit risk decisions?
One is, of course, the market information. As I said, no, first of all, to your question on the partnership business and the proprietorship, we as a company, we don't encourage to do business with those sector or the criteria, category of the customers. Yes, we do carry out, or we do have a partnership and proprietorship firm, particularly for this, for perishable sector. most of them are either
Exactly.
partners or individuals or sole proprietorship. That these customers, we don't add any new customers. I mean, we try to um, uh, engage our old customers or existing customers and then do that. That is number one. Number two is, of course, market information. And then we come to you guys like Rubik's, no, where I mean, you get a parallel data or similar business, no, I mean, in a corporate sector basis that I mean, we get some idea about how these, although it may not be real data, it can give at least 80 to 90% of the information about those business or those customer, basis which we take a decision.
So surrogate data basically of
Yes,
different
yes,
kinds.
yes. It is not actual data. Probably the similar line or similar line of customers who are the corporate sector, and basis which we get a probable data, I would say.
Okay. Tell me, and this is a question again that Ankita was very interested in asking, but I'm going to ask it on her behalf unless she wants to. You know, given the sort of fragmented nature of the industry that logistics services or the logistics sector in itself, where people very often default with one player and go to another to get themselves serviced, you know, in instances of payment default are actually quite frequent. What is your method to recover such debts?
So what you rightly mentioned, no, the moment we see the reduction in the business or there is a drop in or decrease in the business, we know we get a sign of information that yes, the customer is planning to go to a new forwarder. That's how this industry works, but we have to be very careful. What we do, I mean, we regularly visit the customer, we follow up. Every week we send a statement to the customer, we chase them like left, right, center. There is a special team which works for those customers who approach these customers, keep chasing, and then if we are not able to get 100%, so at least start getting in parts and ensure that we get in full. Yes, the default is inevitable in any business, but fortunately so far for to our company, it is at a very, very minimal level. I mean, we are able to manage our receivables well with our internal team. Of course, with the sales team and the other management team who has good relationship with the customers, we push and get. Yes, we do go for legal in some cases, but those are very limited. But legal, as it's a long process, that is the last stage we take. Otherwise, it's pure follow up, follow up, follow up.
And that's a magical word, follow up, follow up, follow up. Uh, One question again is that do you find that the credit risk challenges faced in the logistics sector and the supply chain sector are different from the challenges in other sectors?
Yes, logistics is a special industry, according to me, very challenging industry because our cost to exporter or manufacturer is around 78% to them actually. So we are always on the last priority to, I mean, get our receivables. That is always there. So, but however, there it is the service level which we have to make a difference to the customers, our clients, so that no, I mean, we do a right service, we do our deliverables right, so that customer has a faith on us and then they keep paying. Yes, it is a big risk in our industry. I mean, particularly the each client they do at least 4 or 5 LSPs. I mean, logistics service provider at a time. We don't get a full wallet of business with any customer, and it is always we may get 20-30%. But how do we sustain those business, and how do we provide service deliverable to them? How do we get them a right solutions? That is important. It is not about anyone can buy and sell. I mean, we are like a middleman, right? I mean, we are a less capex industry. We don't own any fleet nor vessel or craft. So we have to rely on a third party. So we select a right partner to us so that our deliverable to the customers are right, and then they believe us and they pay us. Yes. So according to me, it's definitely a big challenge considering the cost the customer has or the exporter has on this part. But yes, I mean the service is key.
So you raised a very interesting point, which is a perfect segue to my next question. That you are You don't own the trucks, you don't own the craft, you don't own the vessels, etc. Now, logistics is one sector where you have a lot of individual players. For example, you have truck operators who don't who own a single truck. Their turnover isn't there, so they don't have a GST. Their KYC may be weak, etc. They're unregistered basically. In the absence of proper KYC, GST, etc., such players can also pose a risk to corporate supply chains, because if that link of that chain breaks, it creates, especially in industries like yours where you're servicing pharma, etc. Imagine if something like that were to happen. How do you mitigate the supplier risk in such cases?
So one is the selection of right mix of service provider. So in our case, we are very niche in pharma, so most of our trucks has to be refrigerated. I mean, we call reefer trucks. So you have to identify a right trucker. I mean, these large reefer trucks normally they have a proper setup. I mean, unlike the normal vehicle where I mean, yes, what you mentioned is right. So they don't follow the compliance. I mean, they can fail in their deliverables, but selection of the vendors is key here. I mean, yes, we do have a panel of truckers to whom we do a regular business. At the end of the day, again, I mean, making payment to them in right time is also makes them happy, and then they do provide a right service. This is a perennial challenge in this industry. We cannot avoid this industry, but how do we select is basis the market information, and then basically our customers also give some hint where they do get such a good service from the truckers. So we call them for discussion, we lay our terms and conditions, we put proper SOPs, and then get them on board so that no, they have a right service, because our success depends on their deliverables actually. So otherwise we fail to our customers. So the proper SOPs to all these vendors, unorganized sector, rightly you mentioned, is very important. Put a proper SOP, ensure that they follow the SOP, and then and penal class wherever it is there, we have to put on so that no, they do a right delivery.
And now my final question, which is not related to risk, but it is related to actually the financing of receivables. Are you using any tools for supply chain financings? Are you using tools like factoring, etc.? There is also a lot of generally, when you're dealing with smaller players, I mean, is there securitization or supply chain finance or factoring or any of the tools? Have you deployed them yet in this industry?
No, not necessarily in our company. I mean, most of the companies where I had worked, I mean, yes, in one of my earlier organization, we were working on factoring. But in my current organization, we don't do that. I mean, it is straight, we manage with our own source of funds or with the bank facility. Otherwise, there is no such supply chain finance we are using so far.
Right. But do you think the sector can use this? Is there a need? Because I have many colleagues here who would be very happy to come and meet you to discuss if SCF offerings can be made relevant, not just to Hermes, but to the sector in general.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on the working capital portion of the corporates where you work or where you approach. Definitely, anyone and everyone needs finance. For us, we also call ourselves as a slightly sometimes banker, because what happens, I mean, the customers, one side, my service providers who are majorly airlines and shipping lines, where I have a lesser credit, I have to pay on dot, come whatever happens. But on our other side, my customers pays me in 60 days or 45 days or 90 days. So yes, there is always a working capital requirement. There is always a possibility of supply chain finance, right from factoring to working capital facility or any other form of supply chain finance. It is there definitely. We are also looking, now we are also, what do you call, increasing our strategy. A lot of strategies happening. Now we are expanding our business. We opened recently a supply chain organization. I mean, so far we have been only doing freight forwarding. Now we have opened a new company called Hermes Supply Chain Private Limited, which will be taking care the domestic warehousing and the trucking, the internal domestic, which is purely India within India, whereas our forwarding sector is basically international. So supply chain finance is always inevitable to any company. Yes, I mean if anyone can approach. I mean if it is viable and then if there is a need, yes, why can't we look at it?
Thank you. Thank you very much for spending your time, braving the traffic, and coming to be with us. We really appreciate it. All of us at Vayana and Rubik's. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I mean, for having hosted me here. I mean, very nice questions. Hope I answered you or I met your expectation. That's what I would say. But yes, this industry is a very challenging industry. Definitely, I like this industry. Somehow, I landed up on this industry in 2001. And since then, almost now 23, 24 years, even I wanted to change the industry, but I'm not able to change. I mean, it has become a thick blood to me. I mean, it is very, very challenging, very interesting, definitely, which everyone, any chartered accountant or any finance guys would love to do this, and I like it. And thanks again for the opportunity. And our association with, of course, Rubik's is also quite intensive with last 2 years, and it is increasing now. We heard you have a lot of new products also. We'll work on how we can take or make use of it, and then yes, I mean our association will continue also here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.